Good evening, everyone. My name is Brandon LaBelle, and I am a University of Florida student who will be graduating in August with my BS in Public Relations. And I am here tonight to explain to you the ROPES model. It is a concept in public relations that helps in the development of a communication or an advertisement campaign from the beginning of the campaign to the last part and the last step of the campaign. So let's jump right into it. We'll begin with what the ROPES model actually is. It can be broken down into 5 individual portions. It starts with research, followed by objective, then programming, evaluation, and finally stewardship, probably being the most important of the 5. So let's jump into research. And research can be broken down into 2 major categories, quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative research is usually based around survey completion and is something that is quantifiable, where you can assign numerical data to each individual answer and question, and then analyze it and make decisions based on the future based on the research that you've conducted. Survey questions are broken down into 3 subcategories. You have nominal, which handles things like gender, race, or major. You have ordinal, which is a ranking system. The thing with ordinal is that the rankings don't have a measurable distance between the ranks. So first and second place may be very close to each other, however third place may be extremely far away, and so on and so forth. That's where interval comes into play. Interval deals with things like temperature and age, where each individual ranking has a measurable distance to its next rank. So ordinal and interval go pretty hand in hand, however nominal is extremely separate from the rest of the 2. Moving on to my forte, I have a focus on qualitative, with things like focus groups and interviews is how you conduct qualitative research. Qualitative research is extremely rich information. However, you're unable to really apply the information you receive from qualitative research to the mass audience. However, it can give you some really in-depth and fresh perspectives on your audiences and how they're interacting with your campaign. Interviews mostly stems from expert interviews, people that you will want to talk to make sure that you are communicating the correct message to the right audience and to make sure that you have all your information easily consumable. Moving on from research, we have objective, but let's get rid of the objective and instead call it a goal, which is more what it's supposed to be. A goal is a broad, fluffy idea that you're trying to accomplish through your communication campaign. And to accomplish your goal, you need to set SMART objectives. And what I mean by SMART objectives are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely objectives. If the goal is the fluffy overview, the SMART objectives are the gritty details. We need to set SMART objectives, so later on when we move on to evaluation, we're able to see and measure to see if our campaign was a success for meeting our SMART objectives or was a failure for not being able to meet the SMART objectives. So if research is the meat and potatoes of the communication campaign development world, programming is the filet mignon. Programming is the entire implementation process of the communication campaign. It's when you finally stop thinking about things and start actually implementing them and letting your audience interact. So major things in programming are your strategies and tactics. You need strategies, which are kind of like your goals, which are these broad, fluffy ideas that can be applied to traditional and social media, as well as events. And then the tactics are the nitty-gritty details of your strategies that kind of talk about how you're going to accomplish your strategies. What are the type of literature that you're going to distribute? What are the different social media platforms that you're going to deliver your message on? How are you going to deliver the message on? What are your hashtags going to be? The programming is really where a lot of the creative freedom begins, where you can hone your creative freedom and really develop ideas and flush out content to get to your audience. Moving on to programming, we have evaluation, and in evaluation, we really want to focus on quantitative data. It's easy to have a quick turnaround time when you have quantitative data. You can go back to your SMART objectives to see if you were able to meet those SMART objectives. It's very black and white, and there's no gray area, which is exactly what you want when it comes to evaluation. You want to know if you were able to accomplish your goal. If you did, how'd you do it? If you didn't, where'd you go wrong? With evaluation, we want to implement feedback loops. So while we're still in the programming process, we want to be able to set feedback loops within the programming process to make sure that our campaign is running seamlessly. A lot of the way that you can set up feedback loops, for instance, is if you have an event that you're throwing, you can give out evaluation surveys at the end of event to have people complete to make sure that they're getting your key messages, that they're getting your tactics and things like that, so everything is resonating within the audience. And finally, you have environmental scanning. You can go view traditional media, news, radio, television, see what their coverage was. You can go on social media, see what people are talking about on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, Google Plus, etc. So all of these three major topics kind of bring in evaluation through a holistic perspective. And finally, we have stewardship. And like I said, it is the thank you and we'll see you soon of the communication campaign. Stewardship is the recognition or the giving recognition or acknowledging the relationship you have built with your audience and making sure that they know that this isn't the last time that you're going to interact with them, that you appreciate them and that you hope that when you come back to them with more information, that they're going to be receptive and understanding of where you're coming from. So yeah, like I said, I'm a public relations major. I've developed several campaigns now throughout my time in academia, and every single time I have utilized the ROPES model to get me from start to finish, and I hope that kind of gives you some insight into my world. So thank you guys very much.